Welcome back. Just about 10 after 3 here, Monday afternoon. And, people, it's Monday. You have the opportunity to do something this week. You do. You have all week. So if you're thinking about finding something to do to help yourself, I think finance is still a great place to start, real estate. And a lot of people are thinking they're underwater on their house. Wes Jones joins us. And actually, Wes, I liked this conversation we just had before we came back on the air about people who are waiting too long to even find out what their short sale options are. Well, welcome back, Wes. How are you?
Ben, I'm doing great. Thanks for having us back.
Yeah. So, you know what? You just said the story. I want you to tell it about people giving you the 60 days until it's all over.
Oh, right. Well, we were just talking, off the air about people by not making a decision, the decision is made for them. And although we are seeing a trend for lenders and banks and investors to go ahead and short sell properties, at the end of the day, somebody is not making a payment, foreclosure still is a likely scenario. And it just seems like lately I've been getting a lot of calls with people that already have trustee sales dates, on the books, and they might call me 30 days ahead of time, maybe only 45 or 60 days. And we certainly want to help those people, but it's not a lot of time. I kind of scratch my head and wonder, man, where have you been the last year? Where have you been the last 18 months? I want to help you guys, but there just may not be enough time here.
Yeah, I mean, when people run out of time, and that's just, it's too bad, because by now, there's nobody out there who owns a house that's underwater that hasn't at least heard of people short selling a house. Or unless their head is so buried in the sand or live under a rock like that Geico commercial. But,
well, I think that you're onto something right there, and people really do bury their heads in the sand. And one of the crazy statistics about foreclosures is that 60% of all Americans who do go through foreclosure do so without making the phone call to a lender to see if they can help, or a real estate agent to see if they can help, or their bank to see if there's any type of workout to have. And it just happens. And, that's one of the complaints is, the bank is, calling me so often. What do I do? Well, sometimes they just want to know what's going on. They want to see if they can actually help.
Right. I mean, they gave you the money. They probably don't want the property. And that's what there's this article from the Christian Science Monitor, 10 Best Cities to Buy a Short Sale. And I found what interesting in this is that a lot of banks would prefer you to go about selling your property on your own or with an agent, rather than just giving it back to them through the foreclosure process.
Well, that's very true, and we are seeing very few short sales that would be on their own. They actually do want you to have an agent, and the reason is they want the maximum exposure, for marketing out there. So I have never heard of a for sale by owner short sale. So yeah, they definitely do want to, have you talk to an agent, and they do see this as a value, and they do see this as a service, and they would rather, you address this problem today, with a real estate agent than, have to take this property back 12 or 18 months down the road and then do it themselves. So, yeah, this is definitely something that we're seeing a trend towards banks going to, and that this is something that they want.
It's interesting that you call it a service, because I think that most people who consider them short selling, they're screwing the bank. I mean, or they're going to get screwed somehow or another. But what you're saying is that the banks actually want you to go through this process rather than just getting foreclosed on it.
That's right. And I do believe that it is a service. And if you talk to certain people within the banks, they will agree with you. The whole reason behind short sales and the reason that they go through is because it mitigates the bank loss. Versus them taking a property back in 12 months and having to do the same thing themselves. So why wouldn't they cut the cord today? Go ahead and let the homeowner sell the property, through a real estate agent, and get it off their books and move on. It is a service.
And is this different city to city, the way banks want to approach this?
Nah, it's really not different city to city. It's nationwide. You have different laws in every single state, but, the banks are going to treat a short sale in Washington same way they're going to in California. Local laws vary, but it's the process is the same.
And what is going on in Seattle, Tacoma, Bellevue? I mean, there's typically, there are short sales everywhere. And if the banks are kind of viewing it the same, is there anything unique about this area, or?
I don't think that it's so unique, but I did bring this article in just because I thought it was interesting more than anything else. It was calling Seattle a top 10 place to buy a short sale, and they've got some different stats in here. You know, they used the fourth quarter of 2011, saying short sales were up by 46%. They were saying that they had a median price of $245,000, and I don't know if that was King County or if they were just using Seattle. So it's tough to comment, too much further. Another thing that they said is there was also a 25% discount on a short sale versus a traditional sale, and that's actually something that I would question. I'm seeing discounts, I'm seeing good deals, but I'm not seeing 75 cent on the dollar deals. And it just goes back to the whole loss mitigation strategy, from the banks. They want to mitigate loss on a short sale versus foreclosure.
And not just dump it.
That's right. So, homeowners, they see an article like this and they go, hey, I'm going to get 25% off. This is such a great deal. And, I just want a short sale, when that may not be the case because, even, though short sales are a large portion of the market and it's up to 35% in King County, not all of those are going to close.
Right. So so somebody sees this article. Now, granted, like you said, they're probably not going to get 24.5% off, but still sometimes better deals than the people who are, doing the traditional sale. You work mostly on the listing side, and you really know what happens on that, when you're trying to sell it for the person in the bank.
That's right.
Most buyers agents, probably don't go in even asking all the right questions. You got to know what those questions are, and sometimes you must just go, this person isn't even asking me the right questions if they should be buying a short sale or not. Well,
it's something that Lisa and I go over all the time because, she's out there solely working with buyers. So I'm like, hey, when you're showing short sales, you need to make sure that you're asking the right questions and seeing if this short sale even has an opportunity, to close. So, you really need to, get in there, ask the right questions and see if this is worth your time to even show it, let alone, tie your client up in it for 2 or 3 months.
What are some of those big questions that people need to be asking?
Man, just right there's a bunch of them, but right off the bat, I mean, you want to know what lender you're working with. If somebody's stumbling over what lender you're working with, well, you already know right there you've got a problem. So, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, GMAC, they all work, very similar way. There's some other local banks, maybe some credit unions. They work a little bit different. So you want to know who the lender is. You're also going to want to know, how many loans, how many loans are on this short sale. Is there 2 loans? Is there 1 loan? Is there 2 loans? Are both loans being shorted, or is only the second loan being shorted? Another great question is, and this comes down with a lot of condos, or people who did low down, mortgages to begin with, is there mortgage insurance? That's a huge question because although you may only have 1 loan, you may have mortgage insurance as well. And that adds an additional layer that you've got to jump through, for approval. So those are all real good ones. Another great one is, this is rarely asked to me, who's the investor? So Bank of America is probably servicing that loan, but they don't own it. They only own about 20% of their loans. So they're probably servicing this for Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac. It could also be an FHA loan. It could be a VA loan. And those are really important questions to ask because, an FHA loan and a VA loan, they're going to have their own process that's going to be a little bit different. And, if those are things that if you know a little bit more about the FHA pre-approval program, that you can hold that listing agent to a higher standard and you can hold them to some quicker turnaround times because FHA holds their servicer to those. But if you don't know, if you don't ask the right questions, you're not going to be able to do that and you're not going to be able to assist your client.
And so if you're looking to buy a house and your agent isn't, and you're pursuing a potential short sale,
sure,
and these questions aren't being asked, there's an element of people who shouldn't really be selling these.
Well, definitely on the negotiation side of things, I think that you really need to be trained, if you are going to negotiate a short sale on your own. On the buy side, it's a little bit different. I don't think that you need to know as much about short sales, but you do need to, you don't need to know how to negotiate.
No, but there's an element of preparing your client
absolutely
on the front end so that you're not waiting 6 months, 12 months with really, it can last that long and there's nothing happening.
Well, it can. And I tell real estate agents in my office that this is the number one reason just to get buyers to come in, who you may not know yet. They call you on the phone. This is a great reason to get them to come in, sit down, talk about the market. Hey, we're going to see, when you're searching online, you're going to see short sales. You're going to see REOs. these work a little bit different. And I want to talk to you guys about what it takes to get one of these and what to expect, if you're going to write on a short sale. And you're probably going to be able to come away, as an expert, and you're really going to have their best interest. Plus, you're not going to waste their time, let alone, your own time.
We're here with Wes Jones, partner of Homehelper Consultants. Wes, any other big questions that people need to be asking?
There's a couple of them out there, and I'll just rattle them through, real quick. What type of communication have you had with the bank so far? Has a BPO been done? If somebody responds, what's a BPO? Don't show that property. Some other ones, are there any other liens? Is there a tax lien? Is there an HOA lien? I think an important one is your seller current on their mortgage? That's an important one. It may not seem like any of your business, but it is important. But I think most importantly, and some people do have a problem with this, ask them what their success ratio is. If you're going to write an offer on a short sale, if you're going to bring your client out there, you should